The metallic taste hit my tongue first, followed by an unusual bitterness in my morning smoothie. I glanced at my sister Emma, who was casually scrolling through her phone at the kitchen counter, a slight smirk playing on her lips. "Something wrong with your drink, Olivia?" she asked innocently, not looking up from her screen. I set the glass down, my hand trembling. This wasn't the first time I noticed strange tastes in my food and drinks over the past 3 months. Ever since I'd been named Dad's successor for his medical practice instead of Emma, things had been different. "Mom," I called out, my voice shaking. "I think Emma put something in my smoothie again." My mother stormed into the kitchen, her face already set in that familiar expression of exasperation. "Not this again, Olivia. You're 26 years old, for heaven's sake. Stop trying to blame your sister for everything." Emma's face transformed into a mask of hurt. "Mom, I can't believe she's still doing this. I've been nothing but supportive since Dad chose her for the practice." I wanted to scream. Supportive? The sister who'd once been my best friend had turned into a stranger who left threatening notes in my locker at the hospital where we both worked as residents. The sister who'd accidentally switched my patient charts last week, nearly causing a serious medication error. "Mom, please," I begged, feeling the first wave of dizziness hit me. "Something's wrong. I don't feel right." "Oh, stop being dramatic," my mother sighed. "You're just trying to get attention because your father's retiring next month. Emma's been so mature about the whole situation. Why can't you be?" The room started spinning. I grabbed the counter for support, but my legs gave way. The last thing I saw before hitting the floor was Emma's face, that slight smirk still in place. I woke up in the emergency room, the harsh fluorescent lights burning my eyes. Dr. Torres, my colleague from the hospital, stood over me with a concerned expression. "Olivia, can you hear me?" she asked, shining a light in my eyes. I tried to nod, but my body felt heavy. Through the glass walls of my room, I could see my parents arguing with someone in the hallway. Emma stood slightly apart, typing frantically on her phone. "Your blood pressure crashed," Dr. Torres explained. "We're running toxicology screens now. Can you tell me what happened?" "My smoothie," I mumbled, "tasted strange." "Emma, don't you dare blame your sister." My mother burst into the room, Dad following close behind. "Dr. Torres, our daughter has been making these ridiculous accusations for months. She's clearly having some kind of breakdown." Dr. Torres's expression hardened. "Mrs. Anderson, with all due respect, Olivia's symptoms are consistent with poisoning. As her attending physician, I'm obligated to investigate." "Poisoning?" Dad finally spoke, his face pale. "That's impossible. Emma would never." "Of course I wouldn't." Emma rushed in, tears streaming down her face. "Daddy, how could anyone think I'd hurt my own sister? This is just like Olivia, always trying to make me look bad." I tried to speak, to defend myself, but my tongue felt too thick. The room was starting to spin again. "Her BP's dropping again," Dr. Torres called out sharply. "Everyone out, and someone get me those tox screen results." As nurses rushed in, I caught a glimpse of Emma being ushered out with my parents. For a split second, our eyes met. The mask slipped, and I saw it. That cold, calculating look I'd grown familiar with over the past months. Hours later, I drifted in and out of consciousness as Dr. Torres spoke quietly with someone near my bed. "The initial results are concerning," she was saying. "High levels of warfarin, a blood thinner. It wouldn't be detected in routine blood work unless specifically tested for. Someone with medical knowledge would know that." "Are you suggesting?" Dad's voice cracked. "Dr. Anderson, these levels didn't come from casual exposure. This was deliberate administration over time, given Olivia's previous complaints." "No," Mom interrupted. "There has to be another explanation. The full toxicology report will be ready in an hour." Dr. Torres continued firmly. "I've already notified the police. This wasn't an accident." I forced my eyes open. Dr. Torres stood at the foot of my bed, holding my chart. My parents looked shell-shocked, their world crumbling around them. Through the glass, I could see 2 police officers talking to Emma, whose perfectly crafted mask was finally beginning to crack. "We found these in her locker," a nurse said, entering with a clear evidence bag. Inside were several small vials and a bottle of warfarin, the same type we stocked in the hospital pharmacy. Mom sank into a chair, her face ashen. Dad just stared at the evidence bag, his hands shaking. "The security footage from the hospital pharmacy should be interesting," Dr. Torres said quietly, "especially given the recent inventory discrepancies we've been investigating." As my family's carefully constructed facade began to crumble, I felt a strange sense of vindication through the haze of medication. For months, they dismissed my fears, called me paranoid, defended Emma at every turn. But lab results don't lie. And now, finally, everyone would know the truth. Through my half-closed eyes, I watched as the police led Emma away in handcuffs, her mask completely shattered, revealing the stranger she'd become. The sister I'd once known was long gone, replaced by someone who'd been willing to slowly poison me just because Dad had chosen me to take over his practice. The truth was finally coming out, but at what cost? The hospital room became a revolving door of police officers, toxicologists, and hospital administrators over the next 48 hours. Each new test revealed more disturbing details about Emma's methodical poisoning campaign. The warfarin levels suggest systematic administration over at least 2 months, Detective Lisa Chen explained, reviewing the toxicology reports with me. Given your medical training, you must have suspected something. I nodded weakly, still fighting the effects of the blood thinner. I started documenting everything after the first incident in the hospital cafeteria. I have a journal. Your sister claims it was just a prank on Rom, she continued, her expression skeptical. Says she only meant to make you sick enough to miss a few days of work. A harsh laugh escaped my throat. A prank? She knew exactly what warfarin does. As a doctor, she understood the risks of internal bleeding, stroke. My parents sat in the corner of the room, Mom quietly crying while Dad stared blankly at the wall. Their perfect family image had shattered, and they were still trying to pick up the pieces. We found her diary, Detective Chen said softly. It detailed everything, her resentment over the practice, plans to discredit you professionally, and eventually, more permanent solutions. Mom's sobs grew louder. There has to be a mistake. Emma loves her sister. Mrs. Anderson, Detective Chen turned to face them. Your daughter wrote explicitly about wanting Olivia dead. The diary entries correspond exactly with the timeline of poisoning incidents. Dad finally spoke, his voice hollow. I did this. I caused this by choosing Olivia for the practice. No, I said firmly, surprising myself with the strength in my voice. Emma made her own choices. This isn't about the practice. It's about control. It always has been. The hospital psychiatrist who evaluated Emma had said the same thing. The practice was just the trigger that unleashed years of hidden resentment and rivalry. A knock at the door interrupted us. Dr. Torres entered, holding more test results. We found traces of other substances in your system, she said grimly. Looks like the warfarin wasn't the first thing she tried. My stomach churned as I remembered all the times I'd felt inexplicably ill over the past months. The mysterious stomach bugs, the dizzy spells, the constant fatigue. How many times had my family dismissed my concerns? The hospital board is launching a full investigation, Dr. Torres continued. We need to review every patient interaction Emma had, every prescription she wrote. The implications hit me hard. How many others might have been affected by my sister's actions? How many patients had been put at risk? Detective Chen made a note in her file. The DA is pushing for attempted murder charges, along with multiple counts of medical misconduct. Given the premeditation involved, she'll lose her medical license, Dad whispered, looking devastated. She should. I exploded, months of suppressed anger finally boiling over. She tried to kill me. She violated her oath as a doctor. And you're still worried about her career? The room fell silent. Mom's sobs stopped abruptly as she stared at me in shock. Olivia, she started, but I cut her off. No, Mom, no more excuses. For months I told you something was wrong. I begged you to believe me, but you were so focused on protecting Emma, on maintaining this image of a perfect family, that you couldn't see what was happening right in front of you. Dr. Torres stepped forward. Your daughter needs rest, she said firmly to my parents. I think it's time for everyone to leave. As they filed out, Dad paused at the door. I'm sorry, Olivia. I should have listened. I closed my eyes, too tired to respond. The weight of everything, the poisoning, the betrayal, the family dynamics that had led us here, felt crushing. Detective Chen remained behind briefly. We'll need your statement once you're stronger, she said gently. But there's something else you should know. We found evidence that Emma was planning something bigger for the practice handover ceremony next month. A chill ran through me. The ceremony where Dad would officially announce me as his successor in front of the entire medical community. What kind of evidence? Let's just say the warfarin was just a test run, she replied grimly. You're lucky we caught this when we did. As she left, I stared out the window at the gathering dusk. The sister I'd grown up with, shared secrets with, dreamed of working alongside in medicine. She'd been planning my death all along. Dr. Torres returned with my evening medication. "We've arranged for a trauma counselor to visit tomorrow," she said, checking my vitals. "And the hospital is providing security until your sister's bail hearing." "How did I not see it sooner?" I whispered. She squeezed my hand. "Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we least want to suspect. But you did see it, Olivia. You knew something was wrong, even when everyone else denied it. That awareness saved your life." As night fell over the hospital, I thought about the long road ahead. The trial, the family fallout, the professional implications. But for the first time in months, I could breathe without fear. The truth was finally out, and no one could deny it anymore. 1 year later, I stood at the podium in the courthouse, preparing to deliver my victim impact statement at Emma's sentencing hearing. The trial had been a media sensation. 2 doctor sisters, a family practice succession, and attempted murder by poisoning. The headlines wrote themselves. Emma sat at the defense table, her hospital scrubs replaced by a conservative gray suit. She'd lost weight during her year in custody, but her eyes still held that cold calculation I'd come to recognize. "Your Honor," I began, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "A year ago, my sister tried to kill me because she couldn't accept that she wouldn't inherit our father's medical practice. But this isn't just about inheritance or professional jealousy. This is about a trusted doctor who violated every oath she took, as a physician, as a sister, and as a human being." The courtroom was silent as I continued. "She didn't just poison my body, she poisoned my family's trust in each other." While I lay in a hospital bed, fighting the effects of warfarin toxicity, she was already planning her next attempt on my life. The only thing that stopped her was a careful lab technician who decided to run additional tests. I glanced at my parents sitting in the back row. Mom had aged years in the past 12 months, while Dad had resigned from his practice entirely, unable to face his patients after everything that had happened. They both started therapy, finally confronting the family dynamics that had enabled Emma's behavior. "The medical community is built on trust," I continued. "Patients trust us with their lives. Families trust us with their loved ones. My sister betrayed that trust in the most fundamental way possible. She used her medical knowledge not to heal, but to harm. Not just me, but also 3 patients whose cases were discovered during the investigation." Emma's face tightened at the mention of the other victims. The hospital's investigation had uncovered 3 cases where she'd deliberately altered medication doses, attempting to prove I was an incompetent doctor. Thankfully, none had resulted in fatalities, but the damage to those families' trust was irreparable. I spent the past year recovering, not just physically, but emotionally. Every time I drink something, I still hesitate, wondering if it's been tampered with. Every time I write a prescription, I double and triple check it, haunted by how easily my sister manipulated medication to hurt people. Dr. Torres, sitting in the front row, nodded encouragingly. She'd become both a mentor and friend, helping me rebuild my confidence as a doctor. But I won't let what she did destroy my love for medicine or my commitment to helping others. In fact, this experience has made me a better doctor. I listen more carefully to patients who say something feels wrong. I take every complaint seriously because I know what it's like to have legitimate fears dismissed. Emma shifted in her seat, her mask slipping to reveal a flash of anger. Her defense strategy of claiming temporary mental breakdown due to stress had failed spectacularly, thanks to her detailed diary and the evidence of long-term planning. "Your Honor, my sister is a danger not just to me, but to any patient she might treat. She used her medical knowledge as a weapon. She violated the trust of her family, her patients, and her profession. I ask the court to ensure she never has the opportunity to harm another person under the guise of medical care." As I returned to my seat, Emma's attorney rose for a final plea, but the judge had heard enough. "Dr. Emma Anderson," the judge began, "this court finds your actions particularly egregious given your position as a medical professional. You deliberately poisoned your sister over an extended period, planned her murder, and endangered innocent patients in your attempt to discredit her. I sentence you to 25 years in state prison, with no possibility of parole for 15 years. Furthermore, your medical license is permanently revoked." Emma's composure finally cracked. "She stole everything from me," she screamed as officers approached. "The practice should have been mine." As they led her away, I felt a strange mixture of relief and sadness. The sister I'd grown up with was truly gone, replaced by someone I no longer recognized. Outside the courthouse, Dr. Torres waited with Detective Chen, who'd become another unexpected ally during this ordeal. Ready to get back to work? Dr. Torres asked. Your patients miss you. I nodded. I'd taken over Dad's practice 6 months ago, after he decided to retire. It wasn't the celebration we'd originally planned, but it felt right. You know, Detective Chen said, your story has already helped 3 other families recognize poisoning symptoms in their own homes. Sometimes the worst experiences create the most important awareness. As we walked to our cars, I thought about the support group I'd started for survivors of family violence, particularly those affected by medical abuse. Every week, more people came forward with their stories. The practice is different than I imagined, I told them. But maybe that's good. Instead of just treating illnesses, we're creating a safe space for people to voice their concerns and be believed. The autumn sun was setting as I drove home, casting long shadows across the city. The past year had changed everything: my family, my practice, my understanding of trust and betrayal. But it had also shown me my own strength and the power of being believed. I was no longer just my father's successor or Emma's sister. I was my own person, a doctor who understood firsthand the importance of listening to patients' fears. Sometimes the most powerful medicine is simply believing someone when they say something's wrong.